The boys have been hit with a complete disaster. This doesn't look good. We will go over exactly what that disaster is in today's video, whilst of course going over all the latest Celtic news from the last 24 hours. But first, make sure you like this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Ange Postecoglou is on the verge of returning to the Premier League, with reports suggesting he will be unveiled as Nottingham Forest manager on an 18-month contract. The former Celtic boss, who left Tottenham Hotspur in the summer despite delivering the club's first trophy in 17 years, has been lined up to replace Nuno Espirito Santo at the City ground. Forest owner Evangelos Marinakis is pushing to have Postecoglou in place before Saturday's trip to Arsenal. Postecoglou's imminent appointment rules out any chance of Brendan Rodgers leaving Celtic for Forest, despite speculation linking him with the vacancy. The Hoops manager remains under pressure after a damaging summer transfer window, but with Forest turning to their preferred candidate, Rodgers' focus stays on steering Celtic through a turbulent period. Former Celtic striker Chris Sutton welcomed the news of Postecoglou's return to English football. Writing on social media, he said, "Great to see Ange Postecoglou back in the Premier League at my boyhood club Nottingham Forest. Good luck to him." Postecoglou's time at Celtic remains fondly remembered by supporters after delivering 5 trophies in 2 seasons and building one of the most exciting sides the club has seen in recent years. Now he is set for a fresh challenge in the Premier League, tasked with continuing Forest's upward trajectory while playing fast attacking football. Now for the main story, as Celtic and Rangers will struggle to qualify for the Champions League in the future after their embarrassing performances in the competition this season. Both sides failed to make the group phase of the competition and will drop down into the Europa League as a result. Rangers were demolished by Club Brugge in the final playoff round, falling to a 9-1 aggregate defeat. As for Celtic, they were beaten by Kazakh champions Kairat Almaty on penalties after both legs of the tie finished 0-0. Aberdeen's former chief Keith Winnes, who served as CEO at Pittodrie between 2000 and 2004, had lengthy spells as the chief of Everton and Aston Villa and now runs a football consultancy advising elite clubs, believes that the exits are a complete disaster for Scottish football. Football Insider revealed on the 5th of September that Crystal Palace will entertain offers for Rak-Sakyi in the mid-season window despite turning down summer bids. In other news, it was a rollercoaster and trophy-laden spell for Greg Taylor at Celtic. Perhaps it could and should have ended in a better manner because his final game for Celtic was the Scottish Cup final defeat to Aberdeen. Plus, there were periods of last season where Taylor was taking a lot of flack from the supporters and Brendan Rodgers had to come out and publicly defend the player. Therefore, it wasn't a surprise that Taylor opted against renewing his contract, leaving as a free agent and moving to Greece to play for PAOK. Scott Brown was on punditry duty for Scotland's crucial win over Belarus in a World Cup qualifier on Monday, and he got to reunite with Taylor. In other news, Ange Postecoglou was officially confirmed today as the new Nottingham Forest manager, and Real Betis were quick to mark the occasion with a bit of humour. The Spaniards, who have been drawn against Forest in this season's Europa League, took to social media with a playful message. Glad to be facing Ange Postecoglou in his first season, not in his second. The post was a clear nod to the Australian's now famous line at Tottenham Hotspur, where he declared that he always wins things in his second season. True to his word, he delivered Spurs the Europa League before being shown the door in typically chaotic fashion by the London club. Now, Forest are banking on the former Celtic boss to steady their ship and bring some identity to a side that has struggled for consistency. For Celtic supporters, the Europa League draw adds an extra layer of intrigue, with Postecoglou set to face Betis once again. During his first campaign in Glasgow, his Hoops side lost 4-3 in Seville before edging a 3-2 thriller at Celtic Park. Lastly, on Saturday, The Sun published a story quoting a Celtic source who accused Rodgers of engineering his exit and splitting the club down the middle. Hours later, the board issued an official statement which notably stopped short of backing their manager and instead shifted blame elsewhere for the summer's failings, blaming everyone and everything but themselves. Not many fans accepted the statement, seeing through the PR jargon. Journalist McGowan believes the double act of briefing and statement only compounded the chaos. Even before that statement on Saturday, there was a story that appeared in The Sun from our colleague Roger Hanna, and obviously it took the form of what would have been an off-record briefing, he said on Pressbox podcast. Now, I don't know, and I don't necessarily claim to know that that was from anyone on the board. I think that would be very dangerous if it was from anybody on the board. I don't know who the source was. It could have been somebody one step removed from that, but I think what it portrayed, the image of a board who think that the manager is working his ticket, engineering his exit, who is splitting the place down the middle and so on and so on, I think that probably was a fairly accurate reflection of where they stand on it without having spoken to any of them on it. And that, allied to the statement later the same night, the official statement, managed to make things worse twice in one day, which is really quite some achievement at the end of a window, which is already fairly catastrophic for Celtic. So yeah, I think the relationships now are going to be pretty fraught, and I think we'll try and keep a lid on them. We'll try and keep it together for the sake of the team and for the season in general, but I think everybody's pretty much made up their mind on it. Greg Taylor's summer move to PAOK in Greece was a fascinating one. The left-back, who signed for Celtic from Kilmarnock in 2019, departed in the summer as a different player to the one who initially made the move to sign for Neil Lennon. He had played as a midfielder at times in his teenage years, and this skill set proved hugely helpful in making the transition to an inverted role under Ange Postecoglou, one which became his own. He continued as a regular starter under Brendan Rodgers, but with Kieran Tierney making his return from Arsenal, it felt like the right time to move on. Now plying his trade in Greece, Taylor has revealed one instantly noticeable difference he has found in his new surroundings. Greg Taylor on one key difference between football in Scotland and Greece. Taylor's spell at Celtic was often marked by matches being selected for TV broadcast, which often led to early kickoffs. A difference in temperature in Thessaloniki means a longer wait for PAOK action, and this is something which has stood out to the 27-year-old. Speaking to the BBC Scotland panel after Scotland's 2-0 win over Belarus on Monday, Taylor said, "The kickoffs are quite a bit later here because of the temperature, so it's getting a bit used to that. The standard has actually been good. We've got a lot of good players, international players, and it's been enjoyable. I think it's important to get playing regularly out here, and hopefully, if my form is good enough and I'm playing as regularly as I'd like, the national team stuff will take care of itself." Taylor will need his playing time to improve if he is to break into a national squad which is extremely competitive in his position. What do you think of what we discussed in today's video? Let us know down in the comment section below. Make sure you've liked this video and subscribe to the channel for more Celtic content. Thank you, take care, goodbye.